Hi, and thanks for taking the time to watch this walkthrough today. This is Stash, a replacement for the project panel inside of After Effects. This is the real project for the promo video, and we're going to take a quick look at all of the features on a real working project so you can see how powerful this tool really is. So one of the standout features of Stash is our inline thumbnails. Inline thumbnails are a very quick and easy way to see what assets you're working with. Up here in settings, we have the ability to decide what types of files have inline thumbnails. So at the moment, all settings have been turned on for comps, images, vectors, and videos. And each of these can be individually toggled on and off. If I was to turn off my images down here, you can see that my images now display just an icon. The other thing we have included is the copy to grid view. So by default, grid view shows all available inline thumbnails. So if we come down here to assets and we come to JPEGs, you can see that all four are visible. If I was to copy grid view and then turn off images and we come into here, you can see that they're now all turned off. The other thing we also have included is if you come up to, let's say here, and this is our comp. If we come up to a render, you can see that it takes the very first frame of that comp. If we were to come over to here, and then if I was to right click and set from playhead, you can see that it then sets the thumbnail from the playhead that you have set. So another really nice feature of Stash is our smart search. So our search bar also works exactly like a normal search bar. So if I was to type in cursor, you can see that all of my files with the name cursor do appear. Then alongside that, we have a lot of parameters that are available to extract certain types of files inside of your project. So along here, we have a keywords list, we have types, orientations, size, and then at the bottom, you can see that you can combine these together to make a more narrow search. So for example, if I was to type in square vector, you can see that it shows me all of my square vectors. And you can see up here, we have 512 by 512. So this can also be used in other ways. So we could do unused. And in here, you can see that these are all of the files that aren't used inside of the project. Another feature inside of Stash is our filter chips. The filter chips are the words you can see up along here. So these filter your entire project by the parameters you have selected. We have a bunch of presets included, but you can also make your own. So at the moment we have things like comps, we have inactive comp, we have video, we have the unused. This is basically using the same system as the smart search, but as a fixed view that stays there constantly. For any of the ones you have included, you can add any of them here, and you can also right-click any of them to remove them from the list. The other really amazing feature is inactive comp. So this shows you all of the elements you have inside of that comp at that moment. So you can see we have a call to action down here. This is my call to action here. We have my colors comp, and that's my colors up here. You can see that there. We have the music along here. That's our music down here. So alongside this, you can also set your own custom filter chips. So if we come here and go to add custom chip, if we were to call it, we can go back to one of our old searches earlier, call it unused images, and we can choose parameters. We can do type is image, and then we could do add condition, and we could do used in comps equals 0, and then we can do done. And then if we create that, you can then see that it keeps a fixed list of all of your custom chips down here, but then also adds it to the built-in filter chips list up at the top. If we were to come along here, you can also scroll with your scroll wheel, and then we can see that it now shows all of our unused images as a locked filter chip right at the top. So a system built around the same idea as the filter chips, but approached in a slightly different way, is our smart folders. So smart folders can be made one of two ways. You can either right click an empty folder, or you can just right click on empty space and make a smart folder. So we could go with the same idea as before. So we could do unused vectors. We can type is vector, and we can add a condition, So you can see all of the other conditions we do have here. We've got file size, duration, frame rate, has audio, has video, has proxy, wait, duration, comment. But if we do used in comps equals stand 0 and then type is vector, used in comps equals 0, and we can click create. And then if we were to showcase this now, it includes everything in our project of unused vectors. So this is again super powerful. We could go in and edit the smart folder, and we could just do used in comps equals 0, and you can click save. And then what we could also do, if we were trying to make it so we were getting the project ready for someone else, we could do type is not composition, because we don't want to delete our compositions. You can click save. And then in theory, what I can do now is come down, select the whole thing, and then I could delete, and that would remove every single bit in our project that is unused, making it super easy to pass over to another editor or client, etc. So alongside the grid and list view, we also have tabs. So tabs can be found right up at the top here. We can add another one. We can right click on it to rename. So we can include this one main. And what we can do here is we have completely isolated saved views in each tab. So we could have this as just a grid view. And then if we come over to here, then it stays in list. So we could have our JPEGs over here. And then we could come into here and we could have this as just as our inactive comp. So now we have all of our images and only the things shown in our active comp. But the other lovely thing is, as you can see here, it saves your preferences. So it combines all of the filter chips completely within a singular tab and gives you the ability to have as many saved views and ways of accessing your files as is physically possible. So as you might have seen, we do have the preview pane up at the top here, and our preview pane does include two views. We have the smaller version, and then we also have a slightly larger version up here. The videos you've seen have been playing. We do have the ability to play videos or not. That's completely up to you. But the other nice thing about our preview pane is it's more than just showing your media. It shows you your information. So if we were to come to our stock, and let's go to this video, you can see that it has our name, it has the resolution, the time, the file type, and how many comps it's been used in. Another quick but small bit of information is when you have multiple assets selected. So if we go to the smaller view here and we go to here, let's open up this. You can see that if we were to select two videos, it says you two videos, the time, and if I was to select PNG, it says two videos, one image, and then the time duration for those videos that you have selected. And then up at the top right there, it also shows you how many items you have selected. So with Stash being a project panel, we obviously need the ability to drag in media and import media. We have multiple ways of doing this. We have our import button down here. We can double click empty space over here. But what we can also do is drag in files from Finder. So if I was to take the video that we've been using already and I drag it over assets, and I bring it down to stock down here, you can see that it's added it here. And the other nice thing is any new items that have been imported come with a blue dot, making it really easy and quick to find the item you've just dragged into the folder. Now, this blue dot can be removed in multiple ways. We can, if we have a load of them, you can just right click on the parent folder and it will clear all of them. You can click on the individual item and mark as seen, or if you do something like view it in your window over here, so if I was to double click on that, you can see that it disappears and plays it over here. Any interaction, moving it from out of a folder, moving it into your timeline, any interaction that changes it from its current state removes that blue dot instantly. So whilst the main mission we had of making Stash was to find whatever you need when you need it, we also want to make sure that our project panel stays clean and it is easy to find things in all of the mess that is inevitably going to happen. So one thing we've added is the ability to hide folders, like shying a layer inside of After Effects. So everyone knows those folders you have full of solids and miscellaneous items and adjustment layers and things like that. So we have a folder down here full of just those things. So what we can do is we can right click, we can hide that, and then down here this button appears. So if we were to click that, it would show it. And if we were to click that again, it would hide it. So as you may have seen down at the bottom here, we do have a missing button. If we were to click on this, it fills up the search bar with the word missing. Again, you can type in the word missing without clicking that if you want to, but it gives you all of the missing files and where they can be found in your project. If we were to click on one, you can see the original file path up here, and much easier than clicking reload file and having that pop up with the original file path in the default project window. We do include the ability to use the built-in Adobe relinker. So if you were to come down here and click on relink, you go in, find your file, and it would search through the whole project just as it would on the default After Effects relinking. So the other really important thing we wanted to make sure when creating Stash was that it was completely usable and the project was transferable to someone that doesn't have Stash. So I've got the default project window open here, and as you can see, when I select an item, it selects over here. If I was to do the same for the MISC folder, it does the same over there. It also copies things like labels. So if I select the audio folder and I come over here and select the green, you can see that it does then change it to green. Just note on that, we do have completely customizable label colors in here that you can pick from and change whatever works for you. This also works for things like a new folder. As you can see, it creates a new folder. And if I was to call this vectors, just really quickly, you can see that it changes over here. And if you have things like a smart folder, if we were to type is vector, let's create that. See, we've got all of our vectors in here. Over here, it will show as empty. So the only thing you would need to maybe delete when passing over the project is those smart folders. But that is it. And if we were to delete that from that side, it then deletes it over here. So anything mirrored in project panel is mirrored in Stash, and anything mirrored in Stash is mirrored in the project panel, making it super easy for you to pass over any project to any client, editor, or anyone else in your team. So another really important feature of the default project panel is the ability to reveal in your project. Stash doesn't have the ability to right click and reveal in Stash, but what we do have is a shortcut, and that shortcut can be explained down here. I have mine currently set to Shift and Z. So if I was to select this comp down here, for example, and I click my Shift Z, you can see it instantly shows up here. And this works for any item super quickly. Master Shot 2, we can go inside, we do Stash Panel 1. You can see it, click it again, it instantly shows up in our Stash panel. So being a project panel replacement, we also need the entire right-click toolkit. And to showcase this, I will come down to my stock, and you can see if I right-click on here, this is all of the options we have available to us. We have the ability to open, add to active comp. Oh, and just on this, if we come to our comp, say our render, if you go on a comp, you do have the ability to add to render queue. So it takes us straight there really quickly, one simple button press. Coming back down here, let's go to this one. You see new comp from selection, reveal in OS, which will show you your OS thing up here. What you also can do is double click your file up here and it will bring that up for you. We have the ability to copy, replace footage, reload footage, interpret footage. We can create proxies with a still or a movie. We can set the proxy from a file on our system. And we also have the ability to show you where all of the comps that it is used in. So in here it's only used once, but you can see alongside here it does tell you it's used more than once. If we were to click that, you can see that it takes you straight to that comp and you can see where it's been used in that comp. We have rename, duplicate, and to set the label along here. We do also include all of the keyboard navigation that you would find in the normal project panel. So I can go up and down, I can go on my right to open up a folder, I can go left to close it. If I go right down to here, I can then come onto a label, an item, I can click enter to rename, I could then rename it to bear. If I was to click that, it would go along there, and I can also Control Z to undo that, and it can show me my buffalo there. We can also do things like duplicate, so I can Command D on that item there. You can see it pops up here with a blue dot, And if I do something like dragging it over from here to here, it drags it onto my composition, and you can see it's fully in there above the layer I selected and where my playhead was at. So just to wrap up here, just to quickly go through all of the settings that we do have available to us. On our settings, we do have a helper. So if you were to highlight the name up here, it will give you a rundown of what that entails. So to start off, we have theme, we have a darker and a lighter version. I have default there, our preview pane here. This is to turn your preview pane on and off. Turn that back on. Our list columns along here are our bits here. So the things we have available to us are our media duration, when it was added, our video info, our frame rate, size, file path, date, comment, media start, and media end. Currently I have label and type selected. If I was to turn those off and turn on media duration, you can see that that is then changed to media duration along here. We have our filter chips, which we went through earlier. We have our inline thumbnails, which we also went through earlier. And then in our advanced settings here, we have tint rows by label. So if we were to turn that on and I come into our comps, you can see that it then tints the entire row by the color of the label. This was made to help with the inline thumbnails if you don't love having the label along here. So you can have both, you can have one, or if you like the more colorful approach, you can do it that way. And if I was to come in here and set the label to light blue, you can see it then changes it to a light blue. We turn that off. We have the new item dots, those blue dots on new items. You can turn that on or off. We have play videos in preview. You can also have that on or off. We have confirm before delete. We have hide AE's project panel. So every time you open up a new project, the default project panel opens by default. Here, this registers that, and if it sees that it's been opened, it closes it. However, if you were to open it post opening a project, it will allow you to just open it up whenever you want. So I could come into here and open up a project and it'll open up just fine. It's only when you open up a project from fresh. So whether you're switching from one to another or just opening up After Effects from a cold start. We have our smart drop placement, which I very briefly went over earlier. So this is dragging on items from your panel. So it goes from the item you have selected onto the playhead. So if I was to drag this over here, see it drags it above the layer we had selected at the start of the playhead. If you had that turned off, it would just put it to the very start, right at the top of whatever comp you were in. We have sync selection to project. That was what I went over earlier with anything you select inside of Stash selects inside your project panel and vice versa. We have open folders with a single or a double click. And we have our thing here called a thumbnail cache. So every time you open up a folder, it will only render the thumbnails that you have opened in that folder at that time. However, we do also include a render all button. So if you are happy to wait 30 seconds just for it to render it all in one go, it really does speed up performance and will save it in a cache locally to that project. So you can see I have 18,084 thumbnails in here and we have 132 meg. We can clear them all and redo them again. It's as easy as that. It's super easy, super quick. Down here we have our licensing. So this is the AE scripts licensing, where our support, update, about, and here is where you activate or deactivate your license. So thanks for taking the time to watch this walkthrough today. I tried to make it as quick as I could. I'm sorry, there are just so many things to cover with this panel. Please try the trial out on the store. It's 14 days, completely free. Every single feature is included. Anyone that does purchase it, please give us as much feedback as you can. This is really a project we're in for the long run here. We want to update it as much as we can for as many people as we can. And we just want people to love it just as much as we do. So thanks again and see you soon.